two Hondas, built 20 years apart, became milestones of motorcycle history. The NSR500V, a two-stroke underdog for privateers, and the RC213V-S, a MotoGP prototype adapted for the street. One gave struggling teams a fighting chance in the 1990s, the other carried championship DNA onto public roads. Different eras, different goals, yet both proved Honda was willing to push motorcycles beyond what anyone thought possible. In the 1990s, the 500cc Grand Prix class was known as the Premier class. Bikes were producing close to 180 horsepower from 500cc two-stroke V4 engines, enough to rocket past 320 kilometers per hour on the straights. But they were also heavy and vicious to handle. Riders often described them as machines that wanted to throw you off at every corner. These V4s were so advanced and so expensive that private teams had no hope of competing with them. That was a problem for the sport. Without privateers, the grid risked shrinking into a factory-only battle. In 1996, they revealed the NSR500V, a V-twin designed specifically for privateer riders. Instead of chasing the brute force of the four-cylinder machines, Honda aimed for lightness, agility, and cost control. The result was a liquid-cooled 499cc, 90-degree two-stroke twin that made around 135 horsepower at 10,250 RPMs. It was down by about 40 horsepower compared to the full V4s, but it weighed just 103 kilograms dry. That made it more than 20 kilos lighter than its rivals. And in racing, that difference is enormous, and on tighter circuits, that advantage was worth more than brute horsepower. The NSR500V's strength was not speed on the straights, but speed in the corners. While the big V4s drove past on raw power, the twin carved precise lines and carried momentum where it mattered most. It was also simpler to maintain, with half the cylinders and a friendlier chassis setup. For private teams with smaller budgets and limited crew, that mattered almost as much as lap times. Its debut showed the concept worked. Okada's pole in Malaysia proved the bike had real potential in the hands of determined riders. Over the next season, that promise grew stronger, and in 1997, Alex Barros turned it into something more. At Donington Park, he rode a Gresini-run NSR500V to a stunning podium, overtaking several factory machines along the way. These moments cemented the NSR500V as more than just a support act. It was a legitimate challenger. Of course, the V-twin never won a championship. On power-heavy tracks, it could not keep pace with the monsters it was designed to challenge, but it fulfilled its mission. It kept privateers alive in the Premier class, it gave underdogs a chance to shine, and it delivered some of the most exciting races of the 1990s. Only about 20 bikes were ever built, each costing around $100,000 at the time. Today, surviving examples are almost priceless. In 2024, a mint-condition NSR500V sold for over $400,000 at auction. A reminder that underdog stories are sometimes worth more than trophies. Nearly 2 decades later, Honda flipped the script. Instead of making racing more accessible, they decided to bring MotoGP technology straight to the streets. And the result was the RC213V-S, unveiled in 2015. This was not a replica, not a look-alike. It was a MotoGP bike with mirrors, headlights, and a license plate. The RC213V-S was derived directly from the RC213V, the machine that had already won MotoGP titles with Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa. To make it road legal, Honda added only what was necessary: lights, indicators, a catalytic exhaust, and a side stand. Everything else remained true to the racing prototype. Each bike was built by hand in Japan at a rate of 1 per day, with a total production of just 250 units. The craftsmanship was astonishing. The fairing was made entirely from carbon fiber, saving weight while maximizing strength. The wheels were forged magnesium, the frame and swing arm precision welded aluminum, and even the bolts were titanium. No part was ordinary. Every piece was race grade. Performance figures confirmed its MotoGP bloodline. In restricted road trim, the 999cc 4-stroke V4 produced 159 horsepower at 11,000 RPM. Honda deliberately limited output to meet emissions and safety regulations, but with the optional HRC race kit fitted, the bike revealed its true intent. More than 212 horsepower at 13,000 RPM. Combine that with a dry weight of just 170 kilograms, and the RC213V-S had a power-to-weight ratio unlike anything else legally on the road. Top speed was unofficial, but tests suggested over 320 kilometers per hour with the kit installed. Electronics were state-of-the-art. The bike came with 9 levels of traction control, launch control, adjustable engine braking, and a full quick shifter. It rode on Öhlins TTX suspension. Stopping power came from Brembo monoblock brakes, straight off the MotoGP grid. Even the dashboard was a race-spec TFT, capable of logging lap times, monitoring engine data, and adjusting modes in real time. And yet, despite all this savagery, test riders were shocked at how calmly it behaved at city speeds. It rolled along smoothly at 30 miles per hour without fuss, but when pushed on track, it unleashed the full fury of a MotoGP machine, with sharp handling and acceleration that seemed to bend physics. The RC213V-S was never meant for the masses. At 188,000 euros before the race kit, it was one of the most expensive production motorcycles ever built. With the kit, the price soared beyond 200,000 euros. Collectors bought them instantly. In 2021, a factory-sealed RC213V-S sold for £182,500, making it the most valuable Japanese motorcycle ever sold at the time. Both bikes were answers to different questions. How do you keep racing competitive when giants are crushing the grid? You build a lighter, smarter machine like the NSR500V. How do you show the world the height of engineering achievement? You build a MotoGP bike for the street like the RC213V-S. In one case, Honda democratized racing. In the other, they built a crown jewel. The contrast is sharp, but the core idea is the same. Innovation first. 2 bikes. 2 eras. 2 philosophies. The NSR500V was Honda's gift to privateers, a chance to stand on the same grid as factory stars. The RC213V-S was Honda's gift to collectors, a MotoGP machine adapted for the street. Different as they were, both proved the same point. Honda doesn't just build motorcycles, they build milestones. So, which would you rather ride? The screaming 2-stroke NSR500V or the road-legal RC213V-S? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. Like it and subscribe. See you on the next trip.